Hey friends, good to be back with you. Let's talk about Moon, Square, Mars, and Synastry. So, Synastry is chart-to-chart comparison, where we put two charts together on top of each other and we can see the communication between the two. How do each people view and regard each other? What kind of individual complexes are we hooking into? So, describes a lot of the day-to-day interaction between two people. So when we have this particular square, the motivations for having something to do with each other can be very selfish or self-serving. We tend to view each other as a type of tool for our own gratification or for use in some way. The Mars person has the ability to openly manipulate the Moon person. And the Moon person has the ability to covertly and emotionally manipulate the Mars person. So both lack a softness in dealing with each other, and a type of irritation is built into this aspect because of the ways in which the two people view vulnerability. That's completely different. The Moon person uses the Mars person as a place to put their feelings, to put their woes, to unburden themselves of their cares, and can often view the Mars person as very much capable of handling these burdens that to the Moon person are so heavy. The Mars person often has no personal issue with what's burdening or weighing on the Moon person. They can handle it. And they can see the Moon person as weak or simpering or sometimes a complainer for no good reason. The Moon person is met often with a lack of understanding or softness in the Mars person, and can come to feel emotionally put upon or misunderstood, or sometimes emotionally abused or run around, or like they can't share their feelings without them being used against them in some way. So because we have a mix of tough and tender here, the Mars person can easily use the vulnerabilities of the Moon person to get what they want in the short term. So it's imperative that the Mars person be very ethical in how they deal with the Moon person. It's kind of like the scenario when you're young, and don't pet yourself on the camera, kitty. Sorry, he's self-petting here, and he's going to knock everything over. Do you want to come say hi? You want to say hello, kitty kitty? This is Lucifer, my kitty. How about here? Is that better? So, the Mars person has to be very ethical in how they deal with the Moon person, because it's like that scenario when you're young and you have that sibling that's crying and you're kind of teasing them because you think they're being so silly and it's kind of amusing, so you just keep doing it until they cry harder, and then mom has to come in and break it up. So that's often how the Mars person is compelled to deal with the Moon person. There's this teasing kind of thing that can occur, and they can, find the Moon person to be so sensitive, and the Mars person can kind of push them and needle them until they cry. Both people really need to stop expecting the other to share their toughness, the Mars, or their vulnerability, the Moon, and accept that you trigger each other very, very easily. And this sets the stage for drama and heat. This is actually a very sexually attractive aspect, especially in the beginning before we start to hate each other too much. So drama ensues when you really try to connect But it can be peaceful if it's coming from the other person's point of view. Understand that you view the concept of what you should or how you should respond differently. So it isn't that one is a wimp and one is a brute. It's just that, no, kitty, hold on. Sorry. That's just how you view each other. You can relate to each other from a place of peace. This comes from not responding to the ways in which you trigger each other. It's not found in not triggering each other. That's an impossibility. That's going to happen. You won't be able to preempt that or prevent that. The key is in not responding to those triggers. Don't pick it up. Don't shoot back. It takes some practice, and things can descend into madness when you get into a shootout. If the one who initially feels that they've gotten shot first chooses to not respond with a hail of bullets, that's usually the moon person, then you can survive that encounter, that battle, and then you can call a meeting and talk about it. If you end up obliterating each other, then there's nothing left to work with. You've torn each other to shreds, and that can happen with this particular square. So you've got to be gentle with each other. Your feelings are a weapon of war, either openly on the one hand or covertly on the other hand. And this can end up exhausting two people. Oh, kitty. Oh, hello. He's back. And ravaging you both. He does this thing where he wants me to pet him. He'll come and touch me. Touch, 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 touch. He's such a nice cat. Come and ravage you both if you are not careful. So it's a way that we have to develop patience, maturity, because we really want to get down into the sandbox with this particular square. And we have to understand the other person's point of view. We have to understand that the moon person is not reacting wrong, and the Mars person is not impulsively responding to things wrong. It's simply that your styles are so vastly different that it leads to this climate of misunderstanding and then teasing and then ribbing and then manipulating, and it's this total stage that is set for eventually probably hating each other. And that's often where people end up when they have this square, because they can feel, again, so attacked that it doesn't feel good to live with an enemy. And we can have that view of each other, that we are more enemies than friends when we have an aspect like this. So be careful. If you can handle this well, and hopefully you have a lot or at least some other aspects that are much more peaceful and lend to emotional understanding, especially on the part of the moon person, that's going to help a great deal. If this aspect is found among other aspects that are already very difficult, this can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. So you're going to have to consider this one in the entirety of what's going on between the two of you. And if this aspect exists between two people where one of the people is already very prone to being triggered, or that Mars is like really touchy, or the moon has a bunch of complexes coming off of it in the form of other hard aspects, this is going to add to the difficulty that already exists there. So that's something to consider as well. So I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to my channel if it was. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com, Facebook and Instagram at Truth and Aspect Astrology. And please find me on Patreon and support me over there so I can make more videos for you more often and spend more time over here. It becomes win-win situation for the both of us. And thank you very much for the people who have found me on Patreon and contributed there, because I really do appreciate that. And I will be adding things in the future just for Patreon contributors as well. And I will be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.